Porn is not just bad for you. That framing is way too small and it lacks any depth. Porn is a cultural experiment and it is the first drug in history that is absolutely limitless, anonymous, free, and available in the privacy of your own bedroom. And unlike alcohol, unlike cocaine, unlike cigarettes or heroin, it doesn't kill you quickly. Instead, it kills you quietly, and it kills you by convincing you that you were already alive when you were never alive to begin with. To start with, we're going to talk about the illusion of freedom. Porn pretends to be liberation. It has no gatekeepers. It has no rejection. All it is simply there for you with no waiting. It's just endless novelties. But what feels like that freedom and that liberation is in fact slavery. It's not some sort of slavery with chains. No, the chains themselves are red velvet ropes that feel soft to your skin. You don't even resist those chains because they feel incredible. They feel soft and nice and you enjoy having them on you. Now, the book, which I recommend absolutely everyone to read if they're struggling with some sort of porn or even any addiction as a whole, but porn specifically, this book is called The Easy Peasy Method, and it gets this concept very, very right, and I learned a lot from this book. It says that the pleasure is fake. That is the number one kind of key message, that the pleasure from porn does nothing for you. It is absolutely fake. All it does is create the itch and then sells you the scratch. And you will never ever walk away complete or satisfied. And instead you always will walk away smaller, duller, and just more and more dependent on the porn itself. Now, the second thing that it does is hijack your desire. Desire is the absolute energy and the ether of life. It pushes you to build, it pushes you to risk and to create and to love and to strive for something that you have to achieve. What porn does is hijack that system, and it gives you the end without any sort of journey. It gives you that release without any risk and victory without any struggle at all. And that destroys more than simply your sex life or simply your libido. What it does is sabotage your ambition holistically. Creativity is the very thing that is born in hunger, and it's born in that tension between wanting and not yet having. But what porn does is gives your brain that signal of having without any sort of reality of succeeding. Your brain thinks that you've climbed the mountain and summited the peak when you haven't even left your bedroom. You're not even on the first step yet. And so your brain tells you to stop climbing and stop risking. And eventually that leads to you stopping wanting anything or desiring any sort of success. Third is the lie of control. Most addicts in any sector say that, I can stop whenever I want. I'm kind of a victim of that when it comes to something like Instagram. I can stop whenever I want. I just want one more reel, blah, blah, blah. That is the oldest lie. That is one of the biggest fairy tales that any addict sells himself. They don't want to stop. That is the key. That's the truth to it. It's not because they love what they're addicted to, and in this case, porn. It's instead because they fear the life without that porn. Because porn becomes the emotional pacifier to all of their struggles, and it's some sort of guaranteed fix in their mind. They're terrified of the life they live without that release. But to tell you the truth, the craving that you've been sold is never even real. It is simply a ghost of what has been. It's simply a ghost of what should have been. Every single time you believe that porn gave you something, gave you some sort of satisfaction, all you do is reinforce that ghost. And the easy peasy method and the truth from that book explains that porn never gave you anything. And once you see that reality, once you see that truth, the ghost starts to dissolve and you realize that that cage was never actually locked. The chains on your wrist had no lock around them. All you had to do was take them off. Now, the deeper and the more wounded side of it goes into that erosion of intimacy. Porn does not just numb your body. Instead, it rewires the way you see other people physically. It reduces those other people to pixels, and it reduces them to objects and consumable fragments. And it just convinces you to treat intimacy like it's some sort of entertainment. Every single porn video you've watched, you have to comprehend the fact that they are real people on that screen. It's kind of weird to think about now, isn't it? Every single video you scroll past, every single one you say, no, she's a bit too chopped for me, oh no, blah, 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 her face is ugly. Anything you say along those lines, that's a real person that you're objectifying and talking about. And that seeps into the way that you live and interact with the people in your own life. You're going to stop looking people in the eye, and you're going to stop risking vulnerability, and you're just going to stop being present holistically. And if you cannot recognize those other people on the screen as real, Eventually, you'll stop recognizing yourself as a real person and become a ghost in your own life. And that should be terrifying to you. That right there should stop you for at least today, at least tomorrow. The fifth point is that porn is a cultural coffin. We live in some sort of technological age where most men, not limited to men, but 90% I assume is men. And most men are embalming themselves while they are still breathing. Porn is the perfect coffin, it's safe and it's predictable and it's endless. There is no rejection. The chick in the porno can't say, "No, you're too chopped, you can't watch my video." There is no risk at all in clicking on porn. You can stay as safe as you want forever. However, we already know that safety is death. Safety is the single thing that leads to stagnation. Life itself is risk and it's exposure and it's the terrifying possibilities of failure and rejection. That is the very force that drives you to grow, and that's what forces you to see yourself clearly as a human. Porn strips that away from you and it offers you a clean and slow death in the face of safety. Now, the sixth point is to talk about the things that you lose without even noticing. Porn itself doesn't just take your time. It takes your vitality and it takes your focus and it takes your courage away from you every single time that you click on one more video. And that's why most men are going to report brain fog and social anxiety and erectile dysfunction and some sort of shame and lack of pride. However, beneath every single one of those symptoms that I just listed, and many more, is something more deep, something deeper, and it is the erosion of your free will and your sense of solidarity. You don't feel like doing anything hard. Maybe it's not because you're lazy, but maybe because your brain already believes that you have done it. It's that same thing that I was talking about with the mountain, the summiting. Your reward system has been hijacked by porn. And when you finally look up for once, you put down the video one more time, years of your life have gone by. Decades of your life have passed without you doing anything. And without noticing, you've lived your entire life in a simulation. Now, to move on to the context of quitting, you have to comprehend the fact that it is simple. That does not mean it is easy. Quitting porn is very, very simple. However, it is a very hard task that takes a lot of effort to do. The easy peasy method, that same book, like I'm fucking talking about it like it's the Bible, but it is genuinely incredible for quitting addiction. It doesn't tell you to fight urges. Instead, what it does is teach you to see through the scam of porn. And once you recognize it for what it actually is, being that it is counterfeit intimacy and counterfeit victory and counterfeit freedom, the craving for it dies. You don't remove yourself from the porn. You remove the necessity for it in your life by telling yourself that it really isn't something that you want to be watching. You don't lose anything by quitting. All you do is gain back that raw material of life, and you gain back your energy and your hunger and your risk and your humanity as a whole. The eighth and the final bit is your return to reality. Quitting porn isn't simply abstinence. Instead, it is a rebellion. It is saying to yourself that I'd rather risk rejection than live in some fantasy world where I can not even pay. You can freely watch women getting pounded and enjoy it. It's kind of crazy. I'd much rather fail in reality than succeed in simulation. That is the statement that you're forcing upon yourself when you quit this insolence and you quit this what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it. This fucking fallacy. I don't know. There's a word I'm thinking of. I can't remember it. Whatever. Now, the world will not reward you for quitting. It's not like you're gonna get a pat on the back. Good job for doing the bare minimum. It's not like there's a medal waiting for you or some sort of applause. Instead, you reward yourself through the quiet return of clarity, energy, and hunger. And holistically, that hunger is a terrifying force to be reckoned with, because now you're faced with the hard and the genuine truth without any sort of safeguard or any sort of outlet to release from. And that truth is that life itself is hard. But life, unlike this porn and unlike this fake videos you watch on the internet, is real. And only reality and only this harsh truth of reality can make you free. So to conclude this, porn is simply the illusion of freedom. It is the counterfeit of intimacy, and it is the death of desire. You cannot fight it with willpower. Even if you're not religious, I've seen a passage, I'm not sure if it's a genuine passage, I myself haven't read the Bible, but I've seen this all over TikTok, Instagram, and it says that lust is one of the only sins. Oh, that's the word I was thinking of before. Lust is one of the only sins that you cannot run away from. You cannot face. You must run away from it. There was something about, I think it was Solomon. Sorry for blasphemy. There's two individuals. One was the smartest ever. One was the strongest ever. Both of them faltered to the insolence of lust, even though they were defined as the strongest and smartest. You must run away from lust. You cannot face it head on, because eventually it will overtake you. And you don't escape it through fake streaks and, oh my god, I lasted 7 days this time, maybe 8 days next time. You end it by seeing it clearly and seeing it for what it is. And once you do see it, you cannot unsee it. You cannot unsee the aggression and the terrible fake. Again, I keep forgetting my words. God, I've got fucking brain fog. I must have watched some porn. The vulgarity of the porn industry. So much of it is trafficked, and so much of it is, forcing people into those sectors. And it's genuinely disgusting. The question should be phrased not as, can I quit, but instead phrased as, am I willing to live instead of simulate? Because porn, like I said, doesn't just take your time. It takes your life, and it takes it one climax at a time. And you are worth a lot more than just a pixelated, fucking vulgar, lust-filled death. So please lock in for your sake. Read that Easy Peasy Method book. I think it's a really good book that anybody can pick up. It's not hard or anything. It's simple. It is, actually, I wouldn't even say it's long. It's good for any addiction. Just read it. All you have to do is look up the easypeasymethod.com online. It's free. You don't even pay for it. It's a PDF. Just read it, bro.